Mia and John had always dreamed of owning a house in the countryside, away from the noise and stress of the city. When they saw the listing for a charming cottage with a spacious garden and a scenic view, they knew they had to have it. They didn't mind that it was a bit old and needed some repairs. They were happy to make it their own. They moved in on a sunny day in June, eager to start their new life together. They unpacked their belongings, arranged their furniture, and hung their pictures on the walls. They felt a warm and cozy atmosphere in their new home. They toasted to their future with a glass of wine and cuddled on the couch. That night, they went to bed early, exhausted from the long day. They fell asleep in each other's arms, blissfully unaware of the horrors that awaited them. They were awakened by a loud thud from downstairs. They jolted up in bed, startled and confused. They looked at the clock. It was 3:15 a.m. "What was that?" as she whispered, clutching his arm. "I don't know. Maybe a raccoon or something. I'll go check it out," he said, getting out of bed. He grabbed a flashlight and a baseball bat and headed downstairs. She followed him, holding his hand. They reached the living room and saw that the front door was wide open. The wind was blowing in, making the curtains flutter. They felt a chill in the air. "Did we forget to lock the door?" as she asked, shivering. "I don't think so. I'm sure I locked it before we went to bed," he said, walking towards the door. He reached for the doorknob, but before he could touch it, the door slammed shut with a loud bang. They both jumped back, startled. "What the hell?" he exclaimed, trying to open the door. It was locked. They heard a creaking sound from behind them. They turned around and saw a figure standing in the corner of the room. It was a woman, dressed in a white nightgown. She had long, dark hair that covered her face. She was holding a knife in her hand. She slowly lifted her head and looked at them. Her eyes were wide and wild. Her mouth was twisted in a scream. She had blood all over her face and chest. She lunged at them, waving the knife in the air. They screamed and ran to the other side of the room. They tried to find another way out, but all the windows and doors were locked. They were trapped. They backed up against the wall, holding each other. They saw the woman coming closer and closer, her knife glinting in the dark. They closed their eyes and waited for the end. They never saw the man who appeared behind the woman. He was tall and muscular, wearing a suit and a tie. He had short, blonde hair and a handsome face. He had a gun in his hand. He grabbed the woman by the hair and pulled her back. He put the gun to her temple and pulled the trigger. A loud shot rang out, followed by a thud. He dropped the woman's body on the floor and looked at them. He smiled and winked. He had blood on his shirt and tie. He raised the gun to his own head and pulled the trigger. Another loud shot rang out, followed by another thud. He fell on top of the woman, forming a bloody pile. They opened their eyes and saw the scene in front of them. They gasped and sobbed, horrified. They heard a voice in their ears. It was soft and soothing. "Don't be afraid. We're here to help you," it said. They felt a warm and gentle touch on their shoulders. They looked up and saw two figures standing behind them. They were a man and a woman, dressed in white. They had bright and beautiful faces. They had wings on their backs. They were angels. They smiled and hugged them. "We're sorry you had to see that." They were the previous owners of this house. They had a troubled marriage and a tragic end. They killed each other in a fit of rage and jealousy. Their spirits were trapped here, unable to move on. They were angry and bitter, and they wanted to harm anyone who came here. They were the ones who made the noises, the cold spots, and the apparitions. They were the ones who locked the doors and windows. They were the ones who tried to kill you, the angel woman said. "But we're here to save you. We're here to break the curse and free the spirits. We're here to cleanse this house and make it a place of peace and love. We're here to bless you and your future," the angel man said. They felt a wave of relief and gratitude wash over them. They thanked the angels and asked them who they were. "We're your guardian angels. We've been watching over you since you were born. We've been guiding you and protecting you. We've been leading you to each other. We've been preparing you for this moment. We've been waiting for you to come here," the angel woman said. "Why? What's so special about this house?" They asked. "This house is your destiny. This house is where you will fulfill your purpose. This house is where you will create your legacy. This house is where you will raise your children. This house is where you will grow old together. This house is where you will die happy and content. This house is where you will join us in heaven," the angel man said. They felt a surge of joy and wonder fill their hearts. They looked at each other and smiled. They felt a deep and powerful connection between them. They felt a strong and clear vision of their future. They felt a divine and eternal love for each other. They kissed and embraced, feeling the angel's wings wrap around them. They heard the angel's voice in their ears. It was loud and glorious. "Welcome home," it said. I thought it was the perfect place to write my next novel. A secluded house in the woods, away from the noise and distractions of the city. A place where I could focus on my craft and unleash my creativity. The house was old and rustic, but it had a certain charm to it. It was surrounded by tall trees and a small lake. It had a fireplace, a library, and a cozy bedroom. It was everything I wanted and more. The owner, a friendly old man named Mr. Jones, told me that the house had been in his family for generations. He said that it had a lot of history and stories to tell. He said that I was welcome to stay as long as I liked, as long as I took good care of the house. I thanked him and moved in the next day. I was eager to start writing, but I soon realized that the house had other plans for me. It started with the noises. At night, I would hear footsteps, creaks, whispers, and laughter. I thought it was just my imagination, or the wind, or the animals. I tried to ignore them, but they grew louder and more frequent. Then I started to see things. Shadows, figures, faces, and eyes. They would appear and disappear in the corners of my vision. They would stare at me, mock me, or beckon me. I thought it was just my eyes playing tricks on me, or the light, or the darkness. I tried to avoid them, but they grew clearer and more persistent. Finally, I started to feel things. Touches, breaths, chills, and pains. They would caress me, tickle me, pinch me, or stab me. I thought it was just my nerves, or the cold, or the heat. I tried to resist them, but they grew stronger and more violent. I realized that the house was haunted by the ghosts of its previous occupants. Occupants who had died in the house, or killed in the house, or killed by the house. Occupants who had left behind their secrets, their sins, and their stories. I became obsessed with finding out who they were, what they did, and why they were still here. I searched the house, the library, and the internet for clues. I found old newspapers, journals, letters, and photos. I found names, dates, places, and events. I found horror, tragedy, mystery, and madness. I learned that the house had been the scene of a series of murders, suicides, accidents, and disappearances. I learned that the house had been the home of a cult, a serial killer, a witch, and a lunatic. I learned that the house had been the source of a curse, a pact, a ritual, and a prophecy. I learned too much. The ghosts noticed my curiosity. They became more active, more aggressive, and more hostile. They tried to scare me, to harm me, to possess me, and to kill me. They wanted me to join them, to be one of them, to be part of the house. I tried to escape, but it was too late. The house had locked me in. The house had claimed me as its own. The house had made me its next story. And this is how it ends. I never believed in ghosts until I moved into the old mansion on the hill. It was a bargain, too good to pass up. The previous owners had left in a hurry, leaving behind most of their belongings. I thought I had hit the jackpot. But soon, I realized that something was wrong with the house. Strange noises at night, cold spots in certain rooms, objects moving by themselves. I tried to ignore them, but they only got worse. I started to see shadows in the corners of my eyes, hear whispers in my ears, feel cold hands on my skin. One night, I woke up to a loud bang downstairs. I grabbed a flashlight and went to investigate. As I walked down the hall, I felt a sudden chill in the air. I shivered and turned on the flashlight. To my horror, I saw a bloody handprint on the wall. It looked fresh, dripping with blood. I screamed and ran back to my room. I locked the door and hid under the covers. I hoped it was just a prank, a sick joke. But then, I heard a knock on the door. A soft, raspy voice said, "Let me in. I've been waiting for you." I froze in fear. I recognized the voice. It was the voice of the previous owner, the one who had died in the house. The one who had killed his family and himself. The one who had haunted the house ever since. I realized then that I was not alone in the house. I was not the owner. I was the victim. I panicked and looked around for a way out. There was only one window in my room, but it was too high to jump. I searched for a weapon, anything to defend myself. I found a pair of scissors on the dresser. I grabbed them and held them tightly. The knocking on the door grew louder and more frantic. The voice said, "I opened the door. I know you're in there. Don't make me angry." I backed away from the door, shaking with fear. I said, "Leave me alone. Go away. You're dead. You can't hurt me." The voice laughed. It said, "Dead? No, I'm not dead. I am alive. More alive than you. And I can hurt you. I can hurt you very much." The door suddenly burst open. I saw a figure standing in the doorway. It was a man, but not a normal man. He was pale and gaunt, with sunken eyes and a twisted smile. He was covered in blood, his own and his family's. He was holding a knife, the same knife he had used to kill them. He looked at me and said, "Hello, my name is John, and you are my new family." Okay, I can try to write another part of the story for you. Here is a possible extension. He walked towards me, slowly and menacingly. He raised the knife, ready to strike. I screamed and threw the scissors at him. They hit him in the chest, but he didn't flinch. He pulled them out and threw them aside. He said, "Nice try, but you can't kill me. I'm already dead, and soon you will be too." I looked for another way to escape. I saw a closet in the corner of the room. I ran towards it, hoping to find a hiding place. I opened the door and jumped inside. I slammed the door behind me and locked it. I hoped he wouldn't find me, but he did. He followed me to the closet. He banged on the door, trying to break it down. He said, "You can't hide from me. I know where you are. I can smell your fear. I can hear your heartbeat. I can taste your blood." I cowered in the closet, praying for a miracle. I wished someone would come and save me. I wished I had never moved into the house. I wished I had listened to the warnings. I wished I had believed in ghosts. But it was too late. He broke down the door. He grabbed me by the hair and dragged me out of the closet. He threw me on the bed and pinned me down. He smiled and said, "Don't worry. It won't hurt much. It will be over soon. And then we'll be together. Forever." He plunged the knife into my chest. I felt a sharp pain, then nothing. I saw his face, then darkness. I heard his voice, then silence. He killed me. He made me a ghost.